The alien queen doubted humans until she saw one fight. The throne room of the Varathian Empire stretched before Queen Talvira like a cathedral of living crystal, its walls pulsing with bioluminescent veins that responded to her every mood. Today, those walls flickered with shades of deep violet, the color of skepticism bordering on contempt. Before her stood the human ambassador, a creature so physically unremarkable that it took considerable effort not to dismiss him outright. Ambassador Marcus Webb stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his posture straight, despite being in the presence of a being who could crush his skull with 2 fingers. Talvira had to admire that much, at least. The humans had been petitioning for alliance status for 3 cycles now, ever since their slow-moving colony ships had limped into Varathian space, seeking refuge from some unnamed catastrophe in their home system. The Queen's 4 eyes studied the ambassador with clinical precision. Humans were soft-skinned, standing barely 2 meters tall, with only 2 arms and a laughably fragile skeletal structure. Their bones broke under pressure that would merely bruise a Varathian child. They had no natural weapons, no armored carapace, no venom sacs, no electromagnetic sensing organs. Their atmosphere requirements were finicky, their temperature tolerance narrow, and their lifespan mercifully brief. "Your species wishes to establish a military alliance," Talvira said, her voice resonating through the chamber with harmonics that made the human wince slightly. "You must forgive my confusion, Ambassador Webb. What exactly would humanity contribute to such an arrangement?" Webb's face remained neutral, though she detected the slight elevation in his heart rate. Her people could hear such things. "Your Majesty, humans have certain qualities that might prove valuable in coalition efforts. Adaptability, creativity in tactical situations, and a particular mindset regarding survival." "Survival?" Talvira repeated, letting amusement color her tone. "Ambassador, I have reviewed the biological specifications your science team provided. Your species evolved on a world with no significant predators in your recent evolutionary history. You are prey animals who climb to the top through tool use alone. Admirable, certainly, but this is a dangerous galaxy. The Crawl Swarm does not care about your cleverness with machinery." "We understand your hesitation," Webb replied carefully. "Perhaps a demonstration would be more persuasive than words." Talvira's primary eyes narrowed. "What sort of demonstration?" "The arena trials. Your elite guard trains there, if I'm not mistaken. Allow one of our soldiers to participate in a standard evaluation exercise. If they fail to meet Varathian standards, we will withdraw our petition and ask only for temporary asylum while we repair our ships." The Queen's scales rippled with barely suppressed laughter. The arena trials were designed to push Varathian warriors to their absolute limits. The final examination involved facing a captured crawl warrior in single combat, a creature of pure predatory violence that had evolved on a hell world where everything was either hunter or prey, and the line between them shifted moment to moment. "Very well," Talvira said. "I accept your proposal. Choose your champion." 2 days later, the royal arena had filled with Varathian nobles eager to witness what would surely be a brief and educational slaughter. The human embassy had sent only one individual, a soldier who introduced himself simply as Jack. He was unremarkable even by human standards, standing perhaps 1.8 meters tall, with brown hair cut short and a weathered face that suggested he had seen considerable sun exposure. He wore simple combat fatigues and carried no weapons into the preparation chamber. Talvira watched from her elevated platform as Jack underwent the standard pre-combat medical scan. The results displayed on crystalline screens, visible throughout the arena, allowing the audience to understand exactly what they were seeing. "Bone density 40% lower than Varathian baseline," the medical officer announced. "Muscle fiber composition suggests moderate strength for human standards." significantly below threshold for arena qualification. Reaction time 0.7 seconds, nearly 3 times slower than acceptable margins. Skin thickness 2 millimeters, offering essentially no natural protection. Estimated survival time against Crawl Warrior is 9 seconds. The crowd chittered with a mixture of amusement and something approaching pity. Talvira found herself feeling vaguely uncomfortable. This was not going to be a demonstration of human capability. This was going to be an execution, and she had agreed to it. Perhaps she should call it off. Before she could speak, Jack stepped into the arena proper. The space was vast, a circular chamber 50 meters in diameter with various obstacles, barriers, and elevated platforms designed to allow for tactical complexity. The sand underfoot was dark gray, imported from Varethia Prime itself, soaking up blood efficiently. The gate on the opposite side ground open, and the Crawl Warrior emerged. It was magnificent in its horror. 3 meters tall, covered in overlapping chitinous plates that could deflect most small arms' fire, with 4 arms ending in scythe-like claws designed to eviscerate prey in a single swipe. Its head was all angles and edges, with mandibles that could crush bone and multiple eyes that tracked movement across a near 300-degree field of vision. It had been starved for 3 days to ensure maximum aggression. The Crawl shrieked, a sound that registered on frequencies painful to most species, and charged forward with the speed of a striking serpent. Jack moved. He did not run. He did not freeze. He angled his body 45 degrees and sprinted laterally, moving toward the Crawl rather than away from it, forcing the creature to adjust its attack vector mid-charge. The first swipe of those terrible claws missed by centimeters as Jack dropped into a slide across the sand, his momentum carrying him past the Crawl's left side. As he slid, he grabbed a handful of sand and flung it upward. The Crawl shrieked again, this time in genuine distress, as the abrasive particles struck its unprotected eyes. It spun, lashing out blindly, but Jack was already moving, rolling to his feet and sprinting toward the nearest obstacle, a pillar of stone 3 meters high. The crowd had gone silent. Jack reached the pillar and leaped, catching the top edge with his hands and pulling himself up with surprising speed. The Crawl recovered quickly, its secondary eyelids clearing the sand, and it charged the pillar. Instead of attempting to shake Jack loose or climb after him, the creature simply ran through the stone support, its armored body shattering the pillar into fragments. Jack was already jumping, pushing off the falling stone toward another elevated platform. He caught the edge with one hand, his body swinging in a controlled arc that would have broken a human arm if he had not released and dropped at precisely the right moment. He landed hard, rolled to absorb the impact, and kept moving. Talvira leaned forward, her scales now flickering with colors of genuine interest. The human was not fighting. He was surviving, and there was a profound difference. The Crawl was growing frustrated, its movements becoming less calculated and more aggressive. It charged again, and this time Jack did something that made the entire arena gasp. He ran directly toward the charging creature, waited until the last possible moment, then dropped flat and slid between its legs. As he passed underneath that armored belly, he reached up and grabbed one of the ventral plates, letting the Crawl's own momentum carry him along. The creature shrieked in confusion, trying to reach the parasite now clinging to its underside. Jack pulled himself up, wedging his body into the gap where the Crawl's chitinous plates made its more flexible hip joint. He reached into his boot and produced something the guards had missed in their scan. A simple field knife, carbon ceramic, only 8 centimeters long. What happened next would be discussed in Varathian military academies for generations. Jack did not attempt to stab through the armor. Instead, he found the joint, the flexible tissue that allowed the creature to move, and he cut. Not wildly, not frantically, but with surgical precision, severing the tendons that controlled the crawl's right rear leg. The creature collapsed partially, listing to one side, and Jack was already moving again, rolling clear before the crawl could crush him with its own falling body weight. The crawl tried to stand, found its leg unresponsive, and released a sound of pure rage. It began dragging itself toward Jack with its 3 remaining functional limbs, still terrifyingly fast despite the injury. Jack did not run this time. He stood his ground, knife held in a reverse grip, his breathing heavy but controlled. His face showed no fear, no rage, only a kind of cold calculation that Talvira recognized from her most experienced warriors. The crawl lunged, both front claws descending in a killing strike. Jack stepped inside the attack radius, so close that the claws could not angle properly to reach him, and he drove the knife upward into the soft tissue under the creature's jaw, angling the blade to sever the neural cluster that controlled basic motor functions. The crawl shuddered once and collapsed. The arena remained silent for 3 full seconds before erupting into a cacophony of astonished chittering and clicking. Talvira rose from her throne, her scales cycling through colors of amazement expectant, something approaching awe. Jack stood over the fallen crawl, breathing hard, blood trickling from a dozen minor cuts where the creature's armor had scraped.